In just a few days, the randiest event in the sporting calendar comes bursting through the crotch of the summer. No, not Chelsea Flower Show, not the Gedney Hill Dwyle Flonking Championships. Wimbledon is coming. And as all good shotters know, that is the sauciest sporting spectacular there is. And that is why we are coming to you today from Wimbledon Common. Yes, the tournament has not started yet. It's currently qualifiers. But here we are, hidden in the long grass, hiding our todgers behind a jug of Pimm's. Joining me, wearing nothing more than a very ostentatious hat and a suggestive smile, it's Zachary Sweeney-Lynch.
Game, sex and match on the Common.
Got me going.
Yep.
And alongside him, his mouth dripping with the juices of a ripe British strawberry, it's resident Wimbledon horn dog, George Cooper.
Hello, Jack. How's it going, mate?
Hello. George, I should say, you've earned that title due to your... Well, you were the first to make the observation that Wimbledon, it's the horniest event in sport.
I feel like I'm merely saying what everyone else is thinking. I've taken you to one of my favourite dogging spots out here on the Common.
Yeah.
We've waded through many, the remnants of sexual activity, condom wrappers and the like, and we found this lovely little spot.
Yeah, so should we just explain why we're on Wimbledon Common? It's Wimbledon.
Qualifiers.
By the time you listen to this, Wimbledon will be just 4 sleeps away.
Is it also the qualifying for the Wimbledon Common dogging season?
Yeah,
as well. There's aspiring doggers.
Yeah,
they're not quite in the top 200 ranked in the world, but
it is a thing. Firstly, yeah, as we talked about, Wimbledon is it's horny in quite a suppressed way. We'll get on to some of the examples, but long-standing listeners will remember George giving a list that included sort of, the uniforms, the.
I think it's mainly about the sort of British sexual suppression, and everything is very stiff and kind of steeped in tradition. But like underneath it, there's this like real dirty tension. I
think it's also the soundtrack to a tennis match is quite repressed sexuality as well. Just long silences interrupted by grunting,
and then a yelp from the line judge.
Yelps from the line judge, and then suddenly the crowd erupts in a burst of euphoric passion.
It feels like sexual climax.
Yeah, it does. You say that like ball boy's just like watching veins pulsing from the side of his head.
I would like one day, because those cream trousers would be good for a wet patch to just slowly appear on the court.
It's only a matter of time.
So we were also trying to work out, are there any other sporting events that feel sort of like repressed sexuality? You said...
we were trying to think of it. Maybe the Monaco Grand Prix is a similar level of like grandiose kind of, but it's a little bit more. It's not quite got that. It's got to have the British sort of suppression in order to give the payoff.
Monaco Grand Prix is just transactional sex. You get what you want.
Yeah,
you pay for it.
You could say Ali Pali around Christmas, the darts sort of PDC championships. That's more sort of last days of Rome.
Christmas party kind of.
Christmas party.
Nothing
in the stationery cupboards.
Yeah. It's could be sort of the opposite end of the spectrum to Wimbledon.
Yeah. On Film versus History, they were saying cricket, the English cricket fan is sort of like the ultimate cuck. They just like watching their team get absolutely destroyed. They're just like, very well, thanks. But there's some sexual stuff there, but it's Wimbledon. And then Wimbledon Common. Partly for rights reasons, we were unable to film on Hendon Hill.
So ended up in the depths.
Weirdly, yeah.
But it is a thing that around Wimbledon, people fucking shag in the bushes on the Common, right?
A long day of, keeping it in, and they need that release.
Yeah. What else? Too much Pimm's.
Weren't you saying there was complaints from residents one year, and there were signs that were put up?
Yeah, so in 2016, one of the UK tabloids ran an exclusive called Game, Sex and Match, and the caption was "Car park dogging shame just yards from Wimbledon tennis championships." So basically, it has all been going down here on Wimbledon Common. I'll just read out a excerpt from the
That's actually
article.
a car park nearby.
There's a car park nearby here. We did search the car park for evidence, and I mean it's only the qualifiers now, so
Yeah.
they're sort of scouting bits out. We also speculated about planting evidence for the benefit of this podcast of a condom, but then found that none of us had.
None of us
had a condom.
There are 4 of us here because Jack, who's off camera, producing.
Yeah.
And
It's real.
we were like, oh, well, we'll pull out an unfelt condom and be like, evidence. And not one of us.
Yeah.
We're incels. Literally, we are involuntarily celibate.
Yeah, there's just no need to carry one around,
No.
really. Anyway, back to that article from 2016. It said, swingers have sparked outrage by driving in for sex sessions at a car park just yards from the action at Wimbledon. Disgusted local residents are now warning the doggers to stop their unsavoury activity around the back of the posh All England club. A letter pinned to a tree last week in Wimbledon Park said, couples have been gathering to meet in the area, often in daylight hours, in full view of young families who use the car park. Please stop immediately. If the activity continues, I will photograph the culprits and your number plates and report you to the police. Thank you. A swingers site confirmed it was a popular spot for dogging, boasting, we have dogging doggers in Wimbledon Park, waiting for dogging men and women to go car dogging after dark with them. Which seems like they're just inserting the word dogging unnecessarily.
SEO.
Yeah.
That sentence definitely could have been tightened up a little bit. I feel.
Sorry, can you just clarify? Has there been any dogging? Didn't catch that.
Dogging doggers. There's no need for that second dogging. Is there?
So is
Dogging men and dogging women looking for dogging doggers to find dogging spots in dogging Common.
Dogging is when you drive up there, isn't it? And you sort of flash the headlights sometimes, and someone watching someone doing. So that's in the car park, right?
Yeah, that's in the car park, and then I guess they maybe find a secluded spot, much like this.
Yeah,
So the spot that we're at, there is some kind of a construction behind us, a wooden teepee type
It's
thing.
like a
It's just
wigwam.
a wigwam.
Yeah.
Or like
Which
it almost
looks
looks like
it's-
a Wicker Man effigy.
and it's
gonna be put
also
on top.
it's also been covered up with ferns over one side of it to give a bit of privacy.
Sort of like a bushcraft boudoir.
Yeah.
It looks saucy as
It does-
hell.
yeah, it does look saucy as
you,
hell.
you crawl in there with
Yeah.
your dogging pal and just get down to business.
Yeah.
Although actually I've already sustained a rash on my leg just from walking through the grass, so be careful.
I think that's chlamydia.
That was pre-existing.
The
So
actual,
if you're watching on, or if you're listening, recommend check this out on YouTube. You can see the spot where it is. It's
yeah,
made for dogging.
it is made for dogging. Actually, one last thing from that that article. The article ended by saying Merton Council, which is the local council, said it was not aware of any problems, which sounds to me like somebody from Merton Council is involved in this
Man
this
on the
whole
inside.
thing. Yeah,
Nothing to see here.
move along, please.
Sort of like the Freemasons. The soccers have got people in high places
Yeah.
pulling the
They
string.
control Merton Council. How deep does this thing go? Okay. So we are basically after this, we're going to do a Patreon episode where we are going to. It's purely on saucy Wimbledon. So there's bonking in the changing rooms. There's bonking in the park. There's bonking between players, some famous players. There's some very saucy gossip about a current pundit. There's quite a lot of pundit-related stuff. So there's some exclusive gossip in there as well.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that on Patreon. We are going to give you one big recent Wimbledon sex scandal. And when I say recent, last couple of weeks on this episode. So stay tuned for that. But first, football.
Yeah, and actually sticking with horn dogs.
Yeah, it's not too different.
So, do you see Lamine Yamal was on holiday with Neymar this week? I think it looked like he was staying at Neymar's place in Rio, which, you can imagine Lamine Yamal breaking that trip to his parents, being like, go off to Brazil for the summer, and Neymar is the exchange partner from hell. Like they were hoping that he'd get matched up with a studious kid called Jorge who would help him brush up his Portuguese, maybe take him to the Rio Art Museum. And instead he's off at Neymar's place signing NDAs and hanging out with Insta hotties.
He's getting in with the wreckhead kids in the older years, isn't he?
Yeah.
Exactly. How old is Neymar?
Neymar must be 30,
Twice his age.
32, yeah. Lamine Yamal is 17.
I would have to be as fast.
So that's like me hanging out with a 17-year-old, partying with
Partying with the 17-year-olds. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit odd. Although I kind of feel like Lamine Yamal and Neymar could end up being quite kindred spirits. So the week before, Yamal was photographed on a jet ski riding around Sicily with this OnlyFans model who's 29 on the back of it. And yeah, she saw a comment from a Barca fan being like, we thought we had the next Messi, instead we have the next Neymar.
Yeah, this is the fork in the road.
Yeah,
Because also he's also got, not quite to Neymar's extent, but he's also got a pretty wild dad.
Yeah, he's the one who does like Instagram live videos of him just cooking and stuff,
and
isn't
his
it?
Insta handle is hustle hard.
so hard. I saw a picture of someone who's got a tattoo of Yamal's dad with the hustle hard tattoo.
He's
Hustle hard,
he's a bit of a wild
slogan.
man.
Yeah.
So hang on. So Yamal and this OnlyFans star on the jet ski. So
Yeah, so that was they were just pictured on holiday together, and then they were like photographed at out next to the same pool as well. They posted a picture on Instagram, but actually he another different 29-year-old OnlyFans star came out recently and claimed that like Yamal had been trying to meet up with her. So this is Claudia Bavel. She went on a Spanish TV show and read out WhatsApp messages from Yamal. So she said, Lamine said to me, "Come to my house. I have heating," which
What?
I am a little bit confused about this. I don't know whether possibly that is a translation of something
it's like a
from
saying.
Spanish. Maybe
warning.
like I have heating. I'm hard to.
Oh, do you think that means
I
that?
don't know. Either that or, I mean, it's surely it's hot in Spain this time of year. That's not.
When
Or
was
could it be?
text?
Could have been old.
January.
I guess could have been old.
I mean, even if it was really cold outside, is that a chat up line?
Yeah.
I think it's sort of like second year at uni. You're trying to chat up a girl in February.
Yeah, I've got
It's what-
Come on, I've just bled the radiator. The thermostat is no longer.
toasty.
But yeah, in uni, actually, a warm house, quite a rare beast.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's. I mean, Yamal is 17, so maybe that is a.
Yeah, come and do
enticing
your laundry.
prospect.
Maybe in Spain, heating's not that common.
Surely air conditioning would be more of a.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, she said, I told him it would be too much because I'm about 11 years older than you, don't you think? Lamine said, no, it's perfect. I said, if I get arrested, you get me out of jail. Ha ha ha.
So he's MILF hunting.
Well, she's only that's her.
MILF. He's going for old. He's cougar hunting.
Cougar, yeah, cougar.
We were discussing the whole age difference thing. Was it last week? Yeah. That is.
It's fine when there's this way around, though.
Yeah.
Fill your boots. But also, you know how people are often like, yeah, footballers, you know, obviously you would just shag loads because it's like everyone wants to sleep with you, so you just would. And imagine that, but you're 17. You know what I mean? You're in your like peak wanking years. All his mates are just like going on porn sites, and he's like, well, I'll just text them. I'll just get him round.
Yeah.
I'll just tell him I've got central heating.
Yeah.
He's in his teenage pomp and he's got Insta hotties and
Yeah.
OnlyFans models.
What
yeah.
a combo to be in your prime wanking years. Maybe even a little bit past them, but basically prime wanking years. And you can just, you know, send a selfie in front of your Valent boiler, and then they come running.
He's living
my
the dream. You could sort of see why he's following the Neymar path, really, can't you?
Yeah. And what a relief, because you sort of think, oh, our footballers are all going to be robots now, but you know, here's basically the most exciting young talent, and he's
making the
going
most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still got braces.
He's got something very Brazilian. Obviously, there's this link up with Neymar now, but like even just to look at him, he's got a Brazilian air about him. I know he's Spanish, but hopefully he's got the party streak.
Yeah.
He does seem to.
It's looking good.
Seems to.
Yeah.
So did she go this morning?
No, so basically they didn't end up meeting up, and there's been a bit of a war of words over who turned who down. So she's threatened to release voice messages of him inviting her over, and
Please
like,
release those.
she says she turned him down because he's a minor, but he has come out and said that they never met up because he didn't want to. So yeah, we await further evidence on that. It's actually not the first time that Claudia's got into a bit of a spat with a Spain international, though. So do you remember, I think it was February, we did a story about her dating Iker Casillas, the former Real Madrid goalkeeper. And, you know, Casillas is famously tight. We mentioned on the Real Madrid episode that his teammates nicknamed him Tacaño, the stingy one, and said that he had crocodiles in his pockets.
Such a good saying, that, isn't it?
It is. So, you know, when Claudia went off on a date with him, you're probably not expecting Wagyu steak and a bottle of Moët. And she confirmed that. So she said he was stingy and not at all generous. She recounted the time they went out for dinner and she suggested that they get a glass of wine in the restaurant, and he pointed her in the direction of a supermarket. And she also reviewed his performance between the sheets, which sounds like he was also quite stingy there. She said, "If you ask me what Iker was like as a lover, I would say better as a footballer." Ouch. Yeah, which is pretty cutting.
I mean, he was a fucking good footballer, in fairness.
Yeah, it's high. A high bar to clear.
God,
really.
you got to be careful. What's her name?
Claudia Bavel.
Yeah, she
Man-eater.
will out you.
She will out you. So apparently with the Casillas one, he stopped texting her back, and that was when she decided to tell her story.
Okay,
Which, yeah. Considering texts are 30 pence on his pay-as-you-go sim, you can't really blame him.
He's like real shorthand, like
Yeah.
soz.
Yeah. He's on his Nokia 3310.
That was quite recently as well.
That was in February.
So how old is Iker Casillas? Probably nearly 40.
Yeah.
So more than twice Lamine Yamal's age.
Yeah, it must be quite odd going from one to the other.
Also, Yamal, last summer, every summer he seems to have quite a lot of romantic drama. Do you remember last summer he had this like teenage sweetheart? Did she even go to the Euros?
Yeah, I think they went Instagram official after the Euros.
Yeah, and she was like on the pitch in a Yamal shirt.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, how sweet. Is this going to be like childhood sweethearts? And then they marry, and then like 3 weeks later, she was videoed like in someone's Insta story or TikTok sitting on the knee of a boy in the year above. And that was the end. Because in school, that's the end of your fucking relationship.
Yeah.
You cheat.
That is a real symbol of how much Yamal's life has changed in the space of a year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last summer he's dumping
models.
he's going on jet skis around Sicily with OnlyFans models. Yeah. Actually, while we're talking about footballers and porn stars, I heard an excellent story about Erling Haaland. So we heard this from a pretty good source. So apparently when he turned 20, he was at Dortmund, and someone from his entourage asked him sort of jokingly, like, who do you want to shag? Most in the world, we'll sort it out. And he picked out this Norwegian glamour model who is basically like the Katie Price of Norway. So, you know, back in Erling's teenage wanking pomp, she was a real pin-up, but now she's, you know, probably in her 40s and had a fair bit of Botox and looking a little bit odd in the sort of Katie Price vein. But, you know, Erling, for old time's sake, he picked her, and whoever it was in his entourage got in touch with her and asked if she was up for it, and she was. And they flew her in and they shagged.
Wow.
Quite right,
So
that, because it's like, at his level of footballing fame, there's probably a lot of people you could sleep with, but he's like, I owe it to my teenage self. If I could just go back and tell myself.
Who would be your equivalent if you could have the same treatment?
I mean, it's peak wanking years. I mean, for me, it's probably like Britney or someone.
Really? Yeah.
Although that was a bit scary.
If she can get out of house arrest.
Yeah. Got to get her
Speak to her dad.
permission.
It'd be slightly more
Would
logistical.
you do me the honour, sir? It'd be quite sort of old-fashioned courting, in a way. Just sign this. But yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah. I guess mine would maybe be Megan Fox from that.
That's
that
a classic.
era.
Too cool, isn't it?
Yeah. From my 2008 peak.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider.
No, what is it?
Lara Croft.
Angelina, or just the
Oh.
character.
The character of Lara Croft.
The graphics.
Yeah.
I'll have a word with EDOS and see if they can release her.
Get some coders on board.
Sega.
VR headsets.
I quite rate that from Holland. It's quite like
Yeah.
I owe it to myself.
Yeah.
That's quite a nice bit of exclusive gossip.
It is, yeah.
dangled there.
Yeah.
That's normally Patreon stuff, but enjoy.
Mm.
In the spirit of dogging on Wimbledon Common, we're just spilling stuff out. And actually, I have got a tasty little tennis sex scandal. So Wimbledon is 4 days away, as discussed. So by any rights, Kai Nishikori, as one of the world's better players, he should be soaking up life in SW19, perusing Sweaty Betty, stocking up on £26 bags of organic spirulina at the grocers. He certainly should not be skulking around the Shibuya district of Tokyo, paying late-night visits to Instagram models while his wife is at home in bed. But unfortunately, that is what Nishikori's been up to. So he's withdrawn from Wimbledon this week after photographers caught him sneaking out of this model, Azuki Oguchi's apartment. They got some late-night snaps of him coming out. And it turns out that the pair have been having an affair for years. And he's just been keeping it under wraps while being happily married. It's a massive scandal in Japan. And to be fair to him, he did issue a public apology straight away as soon as it was in the news. Although I'm not sure he quite prioritised the right bits in the apology. So he said, "I deeply apologise for causing discomfort to anyone who supports me, tennis fans, associations, sponsors and other related parties, and for their concern and inconvenience due to my dishonest behaviour. Additionally, I deeply regret making my wife and children feel hurt."
That comes in, also making them feel hurt. Yeah. So that's a real I'm sorry if you were offended.
Yeah, sorry if you felt that what I did was wrong.
So you used the word discomfort as well is slightly odd, isn't it?
Yeah, that could be translation, to be fair to me. Yeah. Sorry you all feel a bit funny about this. Yeah.
God, I didn't have him down as that.
It feels like he's
sort
addressing
of
the camera and behind it is his PR person. They're like, "You forgot your wife." Wife. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, and sorry, I also have a wife and children." Sorry to Patek Philippe and Japan Airlines.
Most of all, I'd like to apologise to BNP Paribas for my immoral behaviour, bringing the brand into disrepute.
I think he has lost some sponsorship deals over it.
Has he? Yeah.
I know tennis is quite it's quite clean. The sponsors are like Robinson Squash and Persil, literally clean. So would Andy Murray have got dropped? You know what I mean? I don't think in football you lose any sponsors over cheating, unless you're Tiger Woods.
I mean, there would be no sponsorship in football if that were the case with it. But
whereas tennis, you have to be a bit more.
Yeah, I think golf and tennis are the same. Tiger Woods lost all his sponsors, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was
that was
posting some pretty big numbers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But so Kai has dropped out of Wimbledon now.
Yeah.
Because if he, I don't know what the situation is with his wife, but if she has kicked him out, then Wimbledon Common is exactly the sort of place he should be, should be enjoying right now.
Bit of a free rent over here. Lightning doesn't usually strike twice. No one will think it. Just get down here. If anyone does happen to be on Wimbledon Common, dogging or otherwise, and spot a very tall Japanese man in tennis whites.
It's a huge deal dropping out, though, isn't it? It's would be the equivalent of, I don't know, Rory dropping out the Masters. I mean, maybe he's not equivalent to Rory.
He filed his divorce papers, possibly without telling his wife. I might have imagined that. I don't think, maybe that bit's not true, but he filed his divorce papers and then played in the Masters last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's happy to just air it all. Yeah. Anyway, I guess Kai is now back home, just making amends. He's cooking this week. Although there is another way you can make amends for an affair. I heard recently the story about there's a Premier League footballer who I can't name, but it's an England star, and they got caught cheating on their wife with a Love Island contestant, and to make amends, he just bought her a new Audi. His grand car.
Well, and instantly forgiven? Do we know?
I think it's forgive but not forget, or I'll drop it. Still with you, but I'm pretty pissed off. Yeah. I heard she's still quite pissed off.
Imagine having that one in your back pocket.
I almost think it's not as sweet as just buying someone flowers and actually apologising. Do you know what I mean? It's here's a car.
Yeah.
It's transactional.
It's very transactional, yeah.
Every time you drive that car, you'd be like, prick.
So true.
Do you think that's why Kaida Shikori was so quick to thank the sponsors? It's one of them Nissan. It's like I could probably kill two birds with one stone here.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Tiffany for the necklace. I mean, no, I bought that. There's a lot of Asahi in the fridge, guy.
Yeah.
God, we're doing a lot of shagging stories today.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of exclusive
It's
gossip,
season.
actually.
Salacious.
Yeah.
Starts at Queen's.
Yeah.
Rolls straight into Wimbledon.
Queens has also got that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's a lesser extent, but that's when the ramp up starts.
Yeah. So going back to football, most players are off on their summer holidays at the moment, jet skiing around Sicily with OnlyFans models, or desperately haggling over an Audi A8 at their local dealership. But over in Italy, last season is still going on.
What?
It's still been dragging on. So it was Serie B. So last week we saw the Serie B relegation playoff between fallen giants Sampdoria and Salernitana.
So Sampdoria,
a big team.
they won the league not that long ago.
I think sorry, there's
just flint.
there's a dogger. There's a dogger approaching.
He's got an erection.
Did I ever tell you about the time I accidentally went into a dogging site in Amsterdam?
Go on.
So I went on so there's like a sort of forest bit outside Amsterdam where there's like a lake, and I went on a bike trip there one time. And there's an actual dog.
A dog. I think that was in shot, but that's authentic. Where's
and
the owner?
Yeah, it is naked, I think. And I was cycling along, and I sort of went down this path, and it got more and more rocky, more like the reeds were really high. It was quite close to the water, and then I just saw, as I was cycling along, these heads like popped up from above the reeds, and it was like these men like peering around like meerkats. And I was sort of like, what the hell is going on here? And Kat was like, got a bit lost and was cycling around these paths. And in these clearings, there were just naked men just standing there.
Shagging.
Not shagging, but like waiting for people to
erect.
I didn't notice that. I wasn't looking too closely.
Waiting around
I don't
with
think
the flaccid
so.
knobs a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I mean,
we'll be right back.
I mean, how long can you sustain it? Really,
Put sunglasses on.
But it was I was it was very strange, and I was sort of thought that they maybe thought that I was coming to meet them.
Yeah, not yet.
Bloody will be.
Yeah,
Did you give like a nod?
I was sort of like, hey, you all right?
Sorry, gentlemen.
And then, do you know the way out? But no, it was very strange, very strange. But if anyone's looking for a dogging spot in Amsterdam, then I can let you know. Anyway,
Sampdoria.
I was talking about Sampdoria.
Because Sampdoria, did they not used to win the league and shit?
Yeah, they won.
90s?
They won the league in the 90s, I think, or something around then. So they're like a really big team. And
Blackburn
or Leeds.
Yeah, somewhat a bit like that. So they're now doing the Serie B relegation playoff. So
down to third tier.
Yeah, they could be down to the third tier. Which I imagine would go down very badly with their unhinged ultras. So, do you remember a couple of years ago, they were not doing very well in Serie A, and their ultras sent a pig's head to the club president, along with a note saying, "Your head will be next."
Jesus.
So
did they make it?
pretty
Godfather shit.
Since then they've gone down.
And
his head was not.
His head was not delivered on a silver platter.
Pathetic.
Although if they ended up in Serie C, I wouldn't back his chances.
That's a full-on death threat, isn't it?
It really is.
You get jail time for that kind of shit.
And they were playing Salernitana in this playoff, who have also fallen on pretty hard times recently. They were in Serie A a couple of years ago, but had a disastrous season last year. Well, two in a row, and they're now battling back-to-back relegations. And it didn't go to plan for Salernitana, so they lost the first leg 2-0 at Sampdoria. But on the plus side, on their flight back to Salerno, they were serving some delicious Cantonese fried rice, and the players all tucked into that for their post-match meal. But it turned out that this Cantonese rice was riddled with bacteria, and by the time the flight landed, the squad were violently sick. So it sounded really rough. So 16 players and member of staff were taken straight to hospital when they got off the plane.
But coming out both ends, probably.
Coming out both ends.
On a plane.
Stomach cramps. Yeah.
Nowhere worse.
Yeah. It sounds very grim.
Apart from maybe Glastonbury be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have had it at a wedding, which was
Oh,
bad.
yeah. I
So-
actually shat myself at an airport once. Sorry. Probably don't leave that in.
Food poisoning or
Just
pre-flight nerves?
misjudged it.
Well, it sounds like you had a similar experience to those Salernitana players. Fortunately for them, the league agreed to postpone the match by 48 hours, and I imagine that at the training ground they were drinking warm flat Coke and nibbling crackers for the rest
Dry
of the time
toast.
until the second leg. But sadly, on Sunday night there was no heroic comeback. So after 65 minutes, Salernitana were 4-0 down on aggregate, at which point their fans started ripping up the seats, throwing them onto the pitch along with flares and firecrackers, and the ref ended up abandoning the match. So looks like Sampdoria are going to get a 3-0 walkover win.
So they're safe.
So Sampdoria is safe.
And Salernitana, they're doing a sort of Sunderland.
Which is probably a good thing for their club president, for more reason than one.
So there was no food poisoning leeway given.
Well, they postponed the match by 48
Oh.
hours as a gesture of goodwill.
Yeah,
still
But,
pretty
light time.
You're still
Yeah.
pretty shaky after that. There's a good
Yeah.
72-hour window, isn't there? Where
Yeah.
you're not quite yourself.
Yeah. That would be, because it sounds like they're a bit of a Sunderland type club.
Sampdoria.
No,
Salernitana,
Salernitana.
yeah.
And it sounds like them going down third tier if there had been the sort of Salernitana till I die doc. The food poisoning episode on a plane.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been
make good
box
TV.
office Netflix.
Yeah.
I want more football documentaries. The problem is most of them are like publicity puff. But Sunderland Till I Die was the opposite. It was
Yeah,
like,
it's gritty.
yeah, it was like, let's see a club in trouble. More of that, more jeopardy, more people shitting themselves.
Yeah.
Is my request to Netflix. All right, I've got some Beckham's stuff. Sir David Beckham's family. He's been knighted now, hasn't he? He's done.
at
Has
last.
has it
David.
happened?
Yeah. He's Sir David now.
Along with Sir Gareth Southgate.
Yeah. It'd be quite nice if he then gets like the Alan Sugar thing where he's then Lord Beckham later. Anyway, while David's having a grand old time getting King Charles's seal of approval, Brooklyn Beckham, he's got plenty of critics already. He's a lovely lad, but he has to put up with, Philistines who can't see the artistic merits of his photography. And, disgruntled chefs who can't quite recreate the intricate bacon sandwiches he does in his Insta videos.
It's not easy.
It's tough. We've tried. So the last thing he needs is his own brother joining the haters. And we've been talking about Brooklyn and Romeo Beckham having this feud over this. Romeo's going out with this girl who either went out with Brooklyn or one of his mates. We're not really sure, but they're not really speaking. And Brooklyn missed David's birthday parties because of this. But now Cruz Beckham, the other brother, the youngest brother, he's joining the haters as well. So Cruz is pursuing a music career, obviously. He's following in his mum's footsteps. And he posted a TikTok recently of him playing guitar, which he later admitted was actually dubbed with a recording of himself playing guitar. You can kind of tell the lip sync's way out. Well, I think it's almost deliberately out. We can watch it in a second. But anyway, Cruz... people are horrible online. It got a bit of criticism online in the comments. So someone called Julie Standing said, definitely got his talent from his mam. I tried football like your dad, which is quite cruel. Although Cruz possibly overreacted. He replied, Julie, mate, have you seen what you look like? Maybe sort it out. It's pretty...
Can we zoom in on Julie?
She's quite a perfectly nice looking woman, I would say. She seems quite good looking.
Have you seen
We're
what
looking
you
at a very
look
small...
see
You know what I
what-
mean?
Yeah.
Sort
Sort
it
it
out,
out.
mate.
Feels like sort of mid-noughties era Facebook crowd, doesn't it? Like,
very.
Yeah.
like-
I kind of rate that though. I mean, she
She's being horrible.
she fired her shots and Brooklyn came back.
Yeah, I
Five
think
barrels.
Two
Yeah.
wrongs don't make a right. I think if he'd criticised her music career, fair enough. But yeah, I suppose she was certainly giving it out. And then someone else called CR7 Reds, sounds like a wanker, said, "Are you going to stick with this job or going to become a race driver next or something?" And Cruz replied, "Wrong brother, mate." which is pretty funny because they are confusing him with Brooklyn, who's been like a photographer, chef, model.
He's a polymath.
Yeah, he's probably thinking of my polymath.
My polymath
I'm
brother.
not sure Cruz meant it in that. But I mean, that's
brutal.
6,000 likes. That's quite brutal on Brooklyn. Isn't
It is funny.
it is funny. I'm starting to think Cruz is quite
Yeah,
funny.
I think about my favourite.
Do you want to see the video? It's not bad. I don't think his music's bad. I think it was. Sorry, we're on Wimbledon Common internet connection here.
It's all right.
It's honestly not bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he does actually say, for those of you who can't tell, it's not a live video. The track is over the top. I think it was deliberate that it was dubbed.
Got you. What would you
Was that was a bit of a Victoria Beckham trick as well, was it?
What, lip syncing? Yeah, well, Top of the Pops was all mimed.
Yeah.
Was it?
Ian Brown famously did that.
Yeah, and the Gallagher brothers used to swap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just as a little gag. Yeah.
Jack, what would you do if at Glastonbury Patchwork turns out to be Cruz Beckham?
TBA. Yes, bloody Cruz. If Cruz Beckham was playing a set at Glastonbury, I saw Bex and Posh and must have been Brooklyn one year, like walk right by me. Bex under the bucket hat,
Having a good
looking
time.
like I thought quite mashed,
Yeah.
coming out of the rabbit hole at like 3 a.m.
I thought the rabbit hole didn't
No
exist.
more. Well, it did then. This was a few Glastonbury. It's the wishing well now, isn't
Is
it?
it?
Yeah, Cruz is quite big on, like, as you said, sort of naughty's Facebook, like airing the dirty laundry a bit much. Like, he's been doing all these cryptic ones. He did one recently saying the truth will unfold. He also just posts a lot of like lyrics from Victoria Beckham songs. It's quite good because I can't think of many. She did that one, out of my mind. But I'd struggle to think of many.
From her solo stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just being like, bang out, like fire emoji. It's like one of the deep cuts from Victoria's
Solo career. It's quite sweet, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
I think
sweet.
it is quite sweet. Anyway, it's all getting a bit nasty though among the Beckhams because obviously, yeah, Brooklyn didn't come to David's parties. There's sort of talk that he's not really speaking to his parents or Romeo. Posh, I have it on very good authority from a well-placed source that her and Brooklyn's wife don't really get on at all. We talked on a recent episode about some falling out of the wedding. Actually did learn a good fact though that so Brooklyn's wife's brother, so his brother-in-law, is called Diesel.
That is good.
Diesel Peltz.
Diesel Pelt.
Diesel.
Is that a nickname or just
I think it might be like
his actual name?
given
Yeah.
name. I mean, like you hit
It's the sort of name Elon Musk had come up with.
Yeah, I've been hearing some mental names in the playground recently.
Yeah.
Homerton, I've heard a few times.
Homerton?
Yeah. It's quite
Wow.
an unusual
Like
name.
multiple kids are called Homerton.
Well, it could be the same kid, but I've heard it
What would
shouted
he be
more
short
than
for?
once.
Homer.
A lot of
For sure.
Artemis is
Yeah.
knocking around. I mean, anyway, I'm not
Artemis.
knocking it. Like it's the big bang of children's names now. But Diesel,
Interesting.
can't see unleaded catching on.
Sounds very American.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah,
to
I
be
quite
sort
like
of
it.
music and modelly, I think, to do
Yeah.
that name.
Or a mechanic.
Yeah, a bit of normative determinism. Right, I think that's all the sporting drama we've got for you. On Patreon, we are about to get into our Randy Wimbledon special. I think we're all fit to burst after sitting here for an hour. So yeah, we're going to lift the lid on what George has identified as the sauciest event in the summer calendar. But before we go, George, I thought do you want to just we talked a bit, but like all the different things about Wimbledon that are saucy. We mentioned the outfits.
Yeah, so the outfits, the kind of obviously white sort of,
Yeah.
they're giving the illusion of innocence when we know.
Oh yeah, it's like a wedding dress.
like a wedding kind of
purity.
thing.
And it's also like you must not have a blemish on it.
Yeah.
But haven't they now introduced a thing where you're allowed like one splash of colour on your
really?
on your collar or something? Do you think so? I wonder if there's I wonder if there's a sort of colour coding. You know, if your collar has like a purple rim,
Oh, is that a nod?
it means you're into rimming.
like,
I don't know.
like swingers having that special grass outside
Yeah,
their house.
Pampas
yeah.
grass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
It's a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even just the sort of buttoned up, neat nature of it, and there's even a bit of like patted. Everything's so uncreased and unblemished. It makes you just want to rip it open. So there's that.
I also was thinking about this. I think tennis may be the hottest people.
Oh,
play
best
tennis,
looking.
Best looking.
Yeah.
Everyone's so hot.
People care about how they look. Like Djokovic's hair doesn't really move.
Yeah, they're all tanned.
Yeah, and then the
Long
outfit
legs.
is quite pristine. And you're right, like the physique is like you need to be fit.
need to be toned.
Yeah, but like not in a like meatheady way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like lean, athletic, elegant.
They're fucking hot.
Yeah.
And then tension in the air.
Yeah, just as you say, when there's an intense point going on, everyone is deadly silent. I think it's to do with the silence, the
Yeah.
enforced silence, and there's a lot of rules and procedures that people are like sort of forced into.
Yeah, it's quite not dominatrixy, but it's quite there's sort of like there's domination and hierarchy.
I'll tell you when you can clap.
Yeah, exactly. You are bloody well told to clap, young man.
Yeah.
Judy Murray, obviously.
Omar Murray.
See above. Strict mistress.
I absolutely love Omar Murray. Oh, there was this work. She did this interview. You know, the Metro do those 90 seconds with Omar Murray, and she was asked, "What is the thing that you miss most in life?" And her answer was the Volkswagen Scirocco.
What is
Which
that?
is the most, just a car,
Very
yeah. It's the
practical car.
most partridge response. But it always made me really like her. The Volkswagen Scirocco, beautiful motor.
Runner of the car.
Surely we could track her down one.
Surely Volkswagen throw one at her. We've talked other sexy things with women. We've talked about the orgasm noises.
Yeah,
from players,
goes
line
without saying.
judges.
Do you think that line judges or umpires, when they're shagging, would say, "Quiet, please"?
Well, that's the umpire, isn't it? Yeah,
Umpire, yeah. Quiet, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think it'd be like Mr. Sweeney Lynch is ready to come. Yeah, even we got a Novak Djokovic episode with Josh Berry coming out next week for Wimbledon, and we were talking about when David Nalbandian kicked a line judge in anger. Even that was quite sort of repressed sexual. You know, when the players get angry, the racket smashing. That's like, I've got to let it out.
Yeah.
And then there's the food and drink, strawberries and cream.
Goes without
Yeah,
saying.
goes without saying. Pims getting a bit tipsy.
Yeah, his way creeps up on you like, oh
Yeah.
dear.
Straight to my head. Actually, but even the fans' outfits are sort of,
Yeah, everyone makes an effort and gets dressed up for it.
Yeah, the
doesn't it? It's
hats I
like-
think are quite suggestive, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
exactly.
A few sexy celebs, Tom Cruise, punters knobbing on Wimbledon Common. More on that on Patreon. I guess the sort of like high society Jilly Cooper-ness of it.
Yeah, it's all a bit kind of carry on, and as I said earlier, the suppressed Englishness of
Yeah.
it, which means that everything festers beneath.
No sex, please. We're British.
Yeah,
but lots of sex, please.
Exactly.
Bit in a
yeah.
cupboard,
Exactly.
in a slightly humiliating way.
Literally, if you're Boris Becker.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then there's genuine horn dogs. Kai Nishikori, Boris Becker, Bjorn Borg. Got a story
Yeah,
about
Bjorn
him.
Borg.
We'll do that. I'll do that on Patreon. And the pundits as well. So we'll tell a few horny pundit stories, including I've got one about a current pundit who loves nothing more than getting pegged senseless. Which I think is almost not quite cricket, not quite Ted, you know what I mean? That's Monaco Grand Prix stuff. Pegging. But apparently. So yeah, it's fucking horny. Wimbledon obviously hasn't even started, so do send in any more examples you have
Yeah.
of saucy
It
Wimbledon.
sounds
stuff.
like you've compiled quite the dossier. This is like the upshots equivalent of the Cambridge Analytica. The
Ribbon report.
The Ribbon report, yes.
Yeah. I guess also Sue Barker.
Oh, yeah.
And George, you might have a little treat for us.
Yeah, I've got a passage, a reading from
Yeah.
some recent
With acclaimed author George Cooper in here.
Some
recent
erotic fan fiction.
fan fiction I've written.
Oh, Sue. So yeah, it's I guess I put Hazel Irving in that category as well. So I'm just naming sexy presenters now.
Balding.
Yeah, Balding, sure, sure. Isha Gua, they're all in quite a sort of specific aesthetic. They're all quite fit. Right, I guess it's all quite carry on more than Bonnie Blue. Although I have got some quite seedy stories. So if you want to hear all that, a deep dive into that and some other section, we got one from 1949, a Wimbledon sex story. We got all sorts. Come and step into the sorry.
The prayer room.
Yeah, come and step into the players' lounge with us. Join our Patreon if you're not already a member. That episode is out right now, waiting on Patreon.
Should we do the Patreon from inside the wigwam?
Yeah, we could be inside the we'll go into the wigwam, and George and Zach have promised that they will briefly bum each other in the spirit of dogging. Join us if you're not already a member. Patreon.com/Upshot Towers. Sign up there. It's ready and waiting, and it also means when the Novak Djokovic one comes out, you'll get part 2 instantly.
Yeah.
All in one hit.
Sign up.
Otherwise, thank you very much. We've enjoyed doing this from the park. And we'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, George.
No,
Thanks for bringing us to your favourite spot.
Anytime. Always welcome.
Thanks, Zach.
Oh.
I'm just... Yeah. Also, so one other horny thing, when they get like docked points or whatever, what's it called? A
Code violation.
Code violation. You naughty boy. Code violation, you.
Code violation.
You big bully. I just want to jump on your back and. Thanks for listening.